ago, and they've remained virtually unchanged. You know that ocean-going, sea-going mariners and explorers had drawn maps of almost the entire world over 400 years ago. Late 1500s, they were drawn by exploration ventures that had almost the entire world already mapped. That's how long man has been able to chart the shape of the globe, the placement of the continents, the coastline of Africa, the coastline of South America, North America, Europe, the Far East, etc. And of course, every time another ship would go out, they'd update the previous maps, and it's been ongoing. And once they couldn't do it sufficiently by ship anymore, they started doing it by airplane. They started doing it by satellite. And now, you know, you and I can get on the computer and go to googlemaps.com and type in any address on the earth, and it'll zoom right into that address, almost with accuracy every time. Sometimes they show you the house next door to your house that you're looking for, but unless you're looking for your neighbor's house. Oh, there's mine right next door. And then they go beyond that, and you have the Google Street Map, you know, the street view. Click that, and you see the front of your neighbor's house, and zoom in on the number out on the curb, and you can tell exactly if that's his address or not. It's very frightening. A lot of people have sued because that's just a little invasion of too much of their privacy. You can't go anywhere and hide. But the maps have just been improving, getting better and better and better, more detailed and more complete as time's gone on. But God keeps the oceans from overflowing the shoreline, and if there's a body of water in the vastness of outer space, God keeps it in its place as well. And the Lord asked Job, "Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if thou hast understanding." Job 38, verse 4. And he said there in verse 29, second half of the verse, that the waters should not pass his commandment when he appointed the foundations of the earth. God is the one who structured this earth, kept it, put it together, and has kept it in its place, kept it solid. There is such mathematic precision, accuracy, and predictability in the movement, the natural movements of the earth and the planets. We know exactly how the earth is tipped on its axis, and as it orbits around, it spins. And this gives us a 24-hour day cycle. But as it's spinning, it's also orbiting around the sun, and it stays in that position, goes around the sun like this, tipped in that same position. And that's why you have 4 different seasons take place at different times of the year around the earth, in the northern and some southern hemispheres of the earth. And not only at every 365 and a quarter days, that earth goes around the sun. So every 4 years, they add 1 extra day, leap year. Not only that, but the moon is orbiting around the earth every 29 days. And both of those objects are going around the sun. And you know how fast they say the earth is going, hurtling through outer space? 66,600 miles per hour. It doesn't feel that fast, does it? Sometimes your hair would really get blown wild if you could sense it. But they say that's how fast the earth is traveling. That is a long journey it makes to go that fast for 365 days and only get around the sun 1 time. And they say he holds fastens the established foundations of the earth. What is it that keeps the earth in the right position, in the right orbit? Now, astronomers and most scientists will just say, well, it's the gravitational pull between the earth and other planets. I don't buy that. I don't buy that. You know why? Because the other planets are farther away from the sun than we are. The closer you are to the sun, the less time it takes for you to go around the sun, right? Third rock from the sun, like the TV show if you're doing. Well, we have 8, 9 planets, if you still count Pluto, in our solar system, and they are so far away from the sun. One of our years, it takes like 20 or 200 of our years for Pluto to go around the sun 1 time. That's how far out it is. So the distance is not always the same. If the distance for all, you see these charts in a science textbook at school, they show all the 9 planets all in a nice neat row, and it looks like they're all evenly spaced, so they're all holding. No, they're not like that at all. And there are hundreds of thousands of miles between our planet and the next one out, which is Mars, which is a little colder than was quite a bit colder than our planet. But they're so far apart, I don't believe that it's the gravitational pull of each, because our orbit goes faster than theirs does. The distance between our 2 planets is going to change. The distance between our planet and Jupiter or Mercury or Saturn or Pluto, way out there, is going to change. It's not going to all stay the same. Now, if they're all nice, neat in a row, they all go around like this, and they never vary, I don't know, you might be able to make that case. But they don't do that. So it has to be the hand of God, the hand of the Creator, that establishes the foundations of the earth. He's got it in its place. It's hanging on nothing, but it's in a perfect orbit and stays in that orbit with such mathematic predictability that we know when the seasons are going to change. We know how many days are in a year. Down to the place where atomic timekeepers, add an extra leap second. They have to add an extra second every 4 or 5 years because the orbit of the Earth is slowed down 1 second. Well, I don't know how they calculate. They've got it down to such precision. So it has to be the hand of God. I know that sounds ignorant. And, well, you don't know anything. Yeah, you're right. There's a whole lot I don't know. But I know one thing. It can't be the planets keeping it in place. If the universe is the result of just random chance, evolution, then everything should be random. There shouldn't be any order or orderliness, no predictability at all, but there is. And that's why every day in the newscast they tell you when sunrise is going to occur, when sunset is going to occur, because they have it all measured down to the exact minute every day. All right, let's go to verses 30 and 31. Verses 30 and 31. Then I was by him, as one brought up with him, and I was daily his delight, rejoicing always before him, rejoicing in the habitable part of his earth, and my delights were with the sons of men. Again, wisdom is doing the narrating, and it's commonly assumed that the phrase, then I was by him, in verse 30, refers to eternity past, sometime long before Genesis chapter 1. And that wisdom, sort of an abstract concept, human learning, human knowledge, and understanding, is some sort of eternal virtue that everyone should pursue. It's always been around, and the wisest man is one who's going to pursue wisdom. That's why philosophers get so much good PR, and everybody loves to think that they know something about philosophers, and Greek philosophers, or German and French philosophers, and Chinese philosophers, going back farther than Aristotle, long before the days of Plato. There were Chinese philosophers trying to expound on the meanings of life and the universe. Everybody thinks that those guys are really smart. Well, Aristotle and Socrates and Plato and the Greek philosophers, a couple hundred years before Jesus Christ, had access to the book of Psalms. The book of Psalms was already written. They had the book of Job. They had the book of Proverbs, Ecclesiastes. They had a lot of the prophets, the book of Genesis recorded, long before any of those men lived. So if they did anything contrary to what was revealed in that part of the Bible, then they did so deliberately because they sidestepped the revelation of God to the nation of Israel and to his prophets and thought that they were smart. Aristotle and Plato and Socrates were all homos. They were all homos. I don't mean homo sapiens, I mean homo sodomites. And they all believed that perfect love only could exist between two people of the same sex. They'd love the recent judge's ruling here in California. They could get married. Well, so their philosophy many times ended up being an alibi just to go ahead and sin and think they could get away with it and just disregard the revelation of the Scripture. But people love philosophy because if they can quote something one of them said, makes them sound smart because the average guy doesn't read it. There was one philosopher named Friedrich Nietzsche, Nietzsche was the one that Adolf Hitler